Peter Cottontail seems to be coming down the bunny trail, but he doesn't have just candy for us. He has some Nintendo Switch eShop sales because there is a huge eShop sale going on as of right now. Now, of course, at the time of the filming of this video, all of these games are currently on sale. So if you miss out on any of these sales, well, you should have been subscribed with notifications turned on. But without any further ado, I have a bunch of games to talk about. At the end of the video, we also have 4 games that are $1.99 that we need to talk about as well. So if you're cheap, you'll want to stick around to the end. Without any further ado though, let's talk about what games we have on sale on the Nintendo Switch eShop. So to kick things off, we have a trifecta of games coming to us from Bethesda. Of course, now Bethesda has been purchased by Microsoft. The future of Bethesda games on the Nintendo Switch is kind of up in the air, but right now, 3 games are on sale on the Nintendo Switch eShop for $29.99 a piece. They are Skyrim, Doom, and Doom Eternal. Now, Skyrim is a game that you should have in your Nintendo Switch collection. It's a great open world action adventure RPG. Of course, you also have the Legend of Zelda elements that were put into this version of the game, and it looks really well. It runs really well, and if you're a fan of games like this is a game that doesn't go on sale very often on the Nintendo Switch, so at $29.99 it's a great price. Now if you're a first-person shooter fan, Doom and Doom Eternal are both on sale for $29.99 each. Now Doom Eternal just came out pretty recently for the Nintendo Switch. Of course, Doom has been out for quite a while. I love both of these games. I prefer the single player in Doom Eternal, but I love the multiplayer in the original Doom, and the original Doom still has a pretty active community if you're looking to play that more traditional online multiplayer, whereas Doom Eternal, I don't know, it's just kind of a weird multiplayer. But these are 2 of the best first-person shooters on the Nintendo Switch, and it's absolutely amazing that these games are even able to run on the Switch, and I think Panic Button did a really good job bringing these games over to the platform. Like I said, Skyrim, Doom, and Doom Eternal are all available for $29.99 during Bethesda's sale, and these are 3 games I highly recommend. Next up, Activision is also having a sale with my favorite racing game of all time, Crash Team Racing. I absolutely love Crash Team Racing. I think it's a fine racing game, and anyone who disagrees with that is incorrect. But we also have a game that I actually do really recommend, and that is Diablo 3, which is on sale for $29.99. Now, I was never a huge Diablo fan until I played Diablo 3 on the Nintendo Switch, and it's a really fun game. If you like loot-style games sort of like Hades and whatnot that are very popular nowadays, the Diablo franchise is the reason that these games are very popular. And Diablo 3 on the Nintendo Switch is a very solid version of the game. It looks great, it plays great, has a ton of additional content. You can play online as well, so a really good game. If you're looking to sink hundreds of thousands of hours into a game that has a lot of loot-based sort of gameplay into it, Diablo 3 on the Nintendo Switch at $29.99 is a great pickup. Very briefly, I do want to mention that Retromania Wrestling, which just came out on the Nintendo Switch, does have a early eShop sale of $25.49. If you love WrestleFest, if you love that old school WWF style of gameplay that was popular in the arcades, I think Retromania is absolutely fantastic. And plus, hey, you could play in an RGT85 ring if you choose the Too Many Games arena and throw someone into my table. We did a full video on Retromania Wrestling. Make sure you guys go check it out. Yes, I'm biased towards the game because it's a WrestleFest sequel. I have a cameo in it. I love WrestleFest. I love wrestling. Like, what do you expect? But if you are looking to pick up Retromania, it is on sale for $25.49, and you might want to jump on the gun with that. The next games are all $15 or less, so now we're getting into the cheaper stuff on this video, and there's some really good titles to talk about. First off, we have Mortal Kombat 11. Mortal Kombat 11 is on sale right now for just $14.99 for the Nintendo Switch version of this game. And honestly, I think the Switch version is very impressive. This was a game that was, of course, designed with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One in mind, but I think the Switch version, especially after the patches they have done to update this game in terms of visuals, are very, very impressive. The gameplay is very fast and fluid. The fatalities are completely over the top and just absolutely awesome. They've added in a bunch of new characters into the game as well. Yes, the crypt area is very sluggish on the Nintendo Switch, which is a shame. They have done a little bit to improve that, but overall, if you're just looking for the fighting game sort of stuff with it, I think Mortal Kombat 11 is a lot of fun. Once again, we did a full video on this game when it originally came out, but Mortal Kombat 11 at $14.99 is an absolute steal in my opinion. Also available for $14.99, we have Dead by Daylight for the Nintendo Switch. Now, in retrospect, I was kind of hard on this game when it first came out, and a lot of people said, well, you wanted it to be Friday the 13th, and it's not Friday the 13th. And you know what? To some extent, you're probably right. I just prefer Friday the 13th to Dead by Daylight just because of the gameplay style, and I am a fan of Jason Voorhees, but I do think Dead by Daylight is a solid enough game. And at just $15, if you're a fan of games where it's multiple characters versus one super character with online battles and things like that, I think Dead by Daylight is a solid enough purchase. I still prefer Friday the 13th to it, but I do think Dead by Daylight does have some fun factor into it, especially with all the various killers that you can use that all have their own sort of unique abilities. Dead by Daylight, $14.99, definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of these styles of games. Another fighting game that's on sale on the Nintendo Switch eShop right now is Power Rangers Battle for the Grid at just $12.99. I absolutely love this game. It plays a lot like a Marvel vs. Capcom style game, except there's Power Rangers, and Power Rangers are cool. If you were a 90s kid, like, you love the Power Rangers. I love the Power Rangers. Like, come on, man. So some of my best memories are from watching the Power Rangers, and sure, the show hasn't aged all that well, but the game is very solid. They've added in a bunch of characters into the game as well to sort of flesh it out a bit more. The story mode, it's there, it's okay, but really the gameplay is what matters in this game, and it's very fast, very fluid. All of the moves are very cool. You can play as Goldar, and Goldar absolutely kicks ass, so I'm a huge fan of this game. And at just $12.99, if you're a fighting game fan and you haven't picked it up, now is definitely the time to check it out. Next up, we have Panty, available for $11.99. I'm pretty sure buying this game probably gets you on like an FBI list or something like that, but if for some reason it doesn't, and you've always been interested in the world of Panty, it is now on sale for $11.99. I might end up checking this out just out of morbid curiosity. It has a very funny name. Obviously, it's a very, very unique game, but yes, Panty, available for $11.99, and maybe you want to get on a government list and buy this game. Now, the next game at $11.99 is definitely a game I recommend picking up, and that is Hotshot Racing. Now, Hotshot Racing is essentially like a spiritual successor to games like Outrun, a bit of virtual racing, Daytona USA. It definitely has that sort of Sega feel to it when it comes to an arcade racer, but I do feel that the drifting is very different than in all of those games. And when I first played this game, it took me a little while to get used to the drifting, but once I understood it, I was in for an absolute treat. There's a bunch of different cars, there's a bunch of different characters you can play as, and the gameplay and the visuals are just absolutely top notch. If you're a fan of classic Sega racing games, I don't know why this isn't in your collection, and at just $11.99, it is definitely a banger at this price point. I absolutely love this game. The music is really done well as well. The gameplay is very fast. It holds a 60 frames per second, so definitely sort of a hidden gem, I feel, on the Nintendo Switch. Hotshot Racing, just $11.99. If you're a fan of action RPGs, Ys Origin is on sale for $7.99, and I absolutely love this game. I actually played this game way back on Steam, of all things. This was like one of my only Steam games besides Nights into Dreams, because I actually did a review for it for a website I was working on, but I absolutely love this game. It is a very fun action RPG that almost feels like a faster paced style of game, like a Legend of Zelda Link to the Past or something like that. Definitely not deep in terms of story with that, but the gameplay definitely kind of reminds me of that. You get a bunch of different weapons, a bunch of different upgrades, a bunch of different magic that you could do in the game as well, and the Nintendo Switch version of the game is very, very well done. I actually own a digital and a physical copy of this game, and it's just $7.99. If you're a fan of fast-paced action RPG games, Ys Origin is definitely a game that you will enjoy. The next two games before we get into the cheap games on this list are the cheapest they've ever been on the Nintendo Switch eShop, and I definitely recommend picking up both of these games. The first game we're going to talk about is Panzer Dragoon Remake. Panzer Dragoon Remake is available for $6.24. If you are a fan of games like Star Fox, on-rail shooters games, Panzer Dragoon Remake definitely needs to be in your collection. They've actually added in subsequent stuff that was missing originally from the game, such as Mission Zero and some of the cheat codes that you could use on the Sega Saturn version of the game, and I just absolutely love this game. I think they did a great job with the visual style. The music is very well done as well. There's some remix tracks that you could check out additionally, and just the gameplay itself is very, very fun. And just having the whole lock-on mechanism, being able to rotate in 360 degrees and take out your enemies, it definitely feels a lot like a Star Fox game. So if you enjoy the classic Star Fox franchise, I really think you're going to enjoy Panzer Dragoon Remake. And I mean, it's $6.24. It's like a McDonald's meal. I'm pretty sure you could swing that price point. And the next game is a game I talk about a lot, but it's never been this cheap, and that is Lego City Undercover at just $5.99. If you like open world Grand Theft Auto style games, you like Legos, you like good writing and funny dialogue, Lego City Undercover is an absolutely fantastic game. I loved this game on the Wii U. I thought it was so awesome when it came out because it was so much fun and it was so different than all of the other more sort of realistic styles of open world games that we were getting on the time. And the Nintendo Switch version of the game is absolutely awesome as well. It looks great, it plays great, you'll get a ton of time playing it. There's tons of secrets to unlock, different vehicles to commandeer. The story in the game is very funny, the writing is absolutely hilarious, very tongue-in-cheek stuff, and this is just an absolute gem of a game. And considering it's just $5.99, this is the one game I say if you only buy one game out of this list, this needs to be your game because it's an absolutely fantastic game. All right, cheap asses, I know why you're here. We have count them, 4 games available on the Nintendo Switch eShop for just $1.99 each. I've actually played all of these games, I own all of these games, and I recommend all of these games. Kicking things off, we have Xeodrifter for $1.99. Xeodrifter is, of course, a sort of Metroid-style game. Definitely has a very retro look aesthetic to it. Definitely a very retro soundtrack as well, where basically you have to get different weapons in order to unlock different areas of the map in order to progress through the game. It can be pretty challenging and maybe even a little bit confusing at times, but once you sort of get into the groove of the game, I think it's very, very fun. And it's just $1.99. If you're a fan of Metroid style games with a retro aesthetic, I think you're going to enjoy this game too. Next up, speaking of retro games, we have Flashback available for just $1.99. Of course, this is the classic game that plays a lot like Prince of Persia. It has that great art style, that great music to it, but it's definitely a very slower paced game in which you're very methodical and having to do things over and over again, kind of learn the level itself, learn the layout, learn where the enemies are going to be, learn where you're supposed to go. But I definitely think this game has a lot of charm to it. This was one of the biggest hits on the PC when it first came out way back in the early 90s, and I still think Flashback holds up today. And at just $1.99, even if you're just morbidly curious about the game, I think it's worth checking out. If you're a fan of shoot 'em up games, the Vasara Collection is available for $1.99, and they're fun vertical shoot 'em ups. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to say about these games. I picked them up on a sale before, and I was just very pleasantly surprised. They're very solid vertical shoot 'em up games, a lot of good visuals, a lot of good music. The controls are nice and tight and precise, and really that's all you really need in a shoot 'em up game in my opinion. And I think these games are very, very solid. Like I said, $1.99 for these. You're getting a collection of various Vasara games. Yeah, they all sort of play similar, but I definitely think it's worth checking out if you are a shoot 'em up fan. And the final $1.99 game on this list is Thief Simulator. Look, you don't want to rob people's houses in real life. That's how you go to jail and stuff. And jail is not a cool place. You don't want to go to jail. So why not be a thief simulator where you have to case out houses and break into them without getting caught and run from the cops? This game is sort of a smaller open sandbox game, but I find it to just be so much fun. I find it to be so much fun to try to avoid getting caught and trying to avoid different things and just learning the layouts of the houses and stuff and get in and get out. There's a lot of fun to be had with this game, and I think the Nintendo Switch version of the game actually performs rather well. In terms of our $1.99 games, this is definitely one I highly recommend. If you only pick up one game on the cheap list, make sure it's Thief Simulator, because this game is just a lot of silly fun, and that's really what matters in video games is, I mean, having fun. Alrighty, so those are the games on sale right now on the Nintendo Switch eShop that I highly recommend. Like I said at the start of this video, there is a big Bethesda and Activision sale going on, so if you want to pick up some Activision related games or Bethesda related games, there's a bunch to choose from. But I sort of wanted to highlight some different games, different genres, different companies, and of course talk about the cheap games. So let me know in the comments section down below what games you plan on picking up during Peter Cottontail's Easter sale. And as always guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss videos like this, because I don't want to hear, oh, RGT, this game's not on sale anymore. Well, it was on sale when I uploaded this video, and if you had your notifications turned on, you could have taken a few minutes out of your day to learn about these games so you save some money. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.